Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. My name is Hannah. On this channel, I post a lot of anti-MLM content, so I'll link a playlist here. This is my big anti-MLM playlist. Over 100 videos on that one, but in particular, if you're really into these horror story videos, there's its own separate playlist for that as well on my channel. If you do like this kind of content, I would love it if you would consider subscribing and liking this video. Those things really help to support my channel, and I appreciate you so much for doing that. As you already know, we have another MLM horror stories video for you. These are the personal experiences that people have had with MLM companies that they have sent in to me. If you have your own story that you would like to send, the instructions for how to do that are down below. Without further ado, let's get right into the stories today. This story says, "Hey there, Hannah. I've been watching a lot of your YouTube videos on anti-MLM. I thought maybe I would share my story, although I would like to remain anonymous because I still have a lot of friends heavily involved in this MLM and I'm also embarrassed. I have actually done a few MLMs, although I never really got into the recruiting aspect of it. I actually feel so dumb now. I should have known better. But I joined Plexus during the pandemic of 2020. I only joined because a friend of mine explained all of the benefits of the products. Side note, I had tried Plexus before and I knew that it did not help me lose weight. She explained that it is about so much more than weight loss, so I joined to get the best price. And I was told from the beginning that you do not have to share if you don't want to and you can cancel anytime. So I thought, what do I have to lose? I do want to interject this little piece of commentary right here because you're saying I feel so dumb, I should have known better, I'm embarrassed, and I want you to know that those feelings are valid and it's understandable why somebody who gets sucked into an MLM would feel that way in hindsight. However, I do want to reassure you that you don't have to feel embarrassed or upset about doing the best with the information you have at the time. The anti-MLM movement and all the information provided here is very much one of those like you don't know until you know kinds of things. And a lot of these revelations come in hindsight. They come after the fact, after you're out of the company and after you have sort of sought out this information on your own. So while on one hand, your feelings are valid, I completely understand why you would feel that way. I also encourage you not to be too hard on yourself because you said it right here. In the beginning, you were told that you don't have to share this if you don't want to. You can cancel at any time. The products are great. You don't have to use them for just weight loss. And all of those things sound awesome. And all this means is the tactics used to pitch you and recruit you, they were effective. But it's not a reflection of your intelligence. To blame yourself would be to blame the victim. We shouldn't be blaming the people who fell for the manipulation. We should be blaming the manipulators to begin with. Once I joined and I began asking questions, my sponsor would send me videos and say, if you want to get your products paid for, all you need is 3 people to do this with you. So I started sharing. I quickly got my 3 people and thought, well, that was easy, so I'll just keep sharing to get more people, because who knows if all these people will stick with it. I got 6 people signed up in 2 weeks' time, and Plexus paid me these big bonuses. They call them fast start bonuses. By this point, I don't even know how, but I was all in. Hook, line, and sinker. I had drank the Kool-Aid, or the pink drink, I should say. I was watching videos all about sharing Plexus. I was attending our Monday night Zoom calls. The team leaders were good Christian people that seemed very smart. A lot of what they said made sense and really spoke to me. We can kind of already see the manipulation playing out right here. In the beginning, you joined on the premise that you wouldn't have to share if you didn't want to, and that you wouldn't be pressured to do so, yet here you are pretty soon after joining, and they're telling you, hey, you can get your products paid for if you recruit some people. I feel like that's a pretty common manipulation tactic, actually, to give people little bite-sized nuggets of information and walk them through the little baby steps to get them to the end goal. Rather than saying, hey, sign up on my team and start selling Plexus, they're gonna say, hey, try the products. You don't have to sell them if you don't want to. You don't have to recruit people. Don't worry about it. Just try it out. And then before you know it, you're signing people up, you're on team calls, you're drinking the pink drink, as you said. I reached the rank of gold by my 3rd month. I was loving my business and my pink drink. I cringe now thinking back at some of the posts I made and some of the things that I said to people. That wasn't me. They are very good at what they do. One night on a team call, our diamond leader said something that caught my attention. It was about recruiting and growing our businesses. She said that when recruiting, we can lead with the products, but we should not settle for just product customers. Our goal is to recruit business builders. And sometimes people don't know they are business builders until you show them. My aunt was on the call too, and that really upset her. Here she was trying so hard to do this business, and she came from that call and told me this isn't for me. Shortly after that, she quit. It wasn't long before everyone I had recruited had stopped ordering. Oh, so you recruited your aunt? Is that what I'm gathering? You recruited your aunt, and then here she is on the Zoom call, and she's being made aware that recruitment is the goal. Ooh, yeah, yikes. I absolutely love this line. Sometimes people don't know they are business builders until you show them. I've always thought that that way about Zoom calls in the sense that within those calls, the uplines are training you on the exact manipulation tactics that were used on you. And for some people, that's going to be a light bulb moment and they're going to realize, oh, I see what's going on here. Nice try, I'm out. Most of my sales were coming from points I got from my recruits and not product sales. So I was back to paying for my products out of pocket. I struggled mentally with this. It was a big blow. They do a lot of mindset training and now I know why. By this point, I was also struggling with the fact that I had spent so much time and money on this business that I wanted to try and make it work. I still love the products and felt better taking them. I really didn't want to let my friend down by quitting either. So I kept trying on and off for a while. I stopped ordering and just kept my account as an inactive ambassador. And I'm glad to say now that I have canceled my membership, which was another ordeal. My sponsor seemed to be understanding, but she is still in deep with it. I'm glad to be out of it and free from it. There's so much more that I could say about it, but I know this is already very long. Thanks, an ex-hun. I mean, if you want to send in another email with more additional details, I would love to hear them. But your detailing and experience, I think a lot of people can relate to. They join on the premise of one thing, it starts to shift somewhere in the middle, you start not acting like yourself, doing things you wouldn't otherwise do, and at some point there's just too much of an icky feeling surrounding it that you kind of gently pull away. There's been a lot of reports of very similar experiences to that. I appreciate you sending in this story, and I'm so happy for you that you're out of Plexus now. This story is a really short one. It says, "Hey Hannah, it's Rachel, and I've got another quick story for you. On New Year's Eve, a friend of mine lost her daughter in a car accident caused by a drunk driver. This is her only child and her whole world. To say she is devastated is an understatement. Of course, I can only imagine. A mutual friend of ours wanted to do something in the daughter's honor and decided on a teddy bear and book drive. The teddy bears are going to Primary Children's Hospital and the books are going to the daycare the daughter worked at. Sounds great, right? Well, it would be if my friend who organized this hadn't gotten an Usborne book lady involved. I got added to the Facebook page for this fundraiser and the whole thing is just a glorified Usborne book party. It's so cringy because there's over 90 of us in the group and hardly anyone is wanting to buy the books to donate. The book lady is constantly posting on the page trying to get people to buy, but I think we know enough about MLMs to avoid it. The lady sent me a Facebook message today trying to pressure me to buy and I was so tempted to call her out. I didn't though, and I just never replied. Luckily, there's also an option to order books off Amazon for the book drive, so I'm going to go that route instead. It just doesn't sit well with me that my friend and some MLM lady are using the death of someone's daughter to pitch MLM crap. No one needs a book lady anyway. I can go to my local thrift store and purchase tons of great kids books for my daughter for like 50 cents each. I'm not spending upwards of 15 bucks for a kid's book. I just had to rant to someone. I hate conflict and I don't want to offend anyone. I'm so annoyed with this whole situation. And what you're bringing up is also something that really infuriates me, and that's MLM reps who take legitimate good causes and they turn it into a way to sell their MLM. I love the idea of a teddy bear and book drive, doing it in the daughter's honor, giving those to people who could really benefit from them. I think that's fantastic. But like you said, why do we need to have an Usborne Books lady involved? There's literally no point in doing that. You can get books cheaper elsewhere, from a thrift store, from Amazon, and it just feels really inappropriate and out of place for people in MLMs to insert themselves into these kinds of situations, because you know that they're just looking at it with dollar signs. They're looking at this really horrible situation of somebody dying tragically, and they're thinking, you know what? I could make some money on this. Here I am. Let's do a book drive. And of course, I don't really know how this lady got involved. It very well could be that she was invited to participate in this, and that's also unfortunate. So maybe she wasn't necessarily inserting herself, but somehow she got there, right? And I've shown similar examples of things like this on my channel before, where it's like some tragedy is going on and somebody makes a post on Instagram like 20% of my product sales are going to be donated to this cause, or come and buy my products and then you donate those products to this charity or whatever it is. You've now taken something that should be really selfless and charitable and you've turned it into something very selfish. Why can't we just be charitable to be charitable? Why do we have to make a buck on it? Why do we have to fulfill our volume quotas and make a profit? It completely undermines the entire purpose of that act of kindness. But I'm really happy to hear that people aren't really buying it. It doesn't really seem like anyone is participating in the Usborne book part of it, and that maybe they're just going to Amazon or donating teddy bears instead or whatever. That's reassuring for me to see that it's not working. Thanks for sending this story in and for bringing this to light. Here's your reminder that if you're on social media and you see an MLM rep pitching their products for what appears to be a charitable purpose, Take a look at that critically and try to understand what the real motive is behind it, because I have to assume it's not just out of the goodness of their heart. This story says, "Hi, I'd like to remain anonymous if you share this story. I love your channel and found it recently. I started looking up MLM negative reviews in April of 2022 because I joined one before realizing it was one, despite the red flags. I barely lasted 2 weeks in Optavia." And then you say, duh, duh, duh. I just recently posted an Optavia deep dive. This is a mess of a company. So problematic, not even just for the MLM side of it, but for the programs and the products and the restrictive eating habits as well. Sometime in the last year, one of my partner's cousins started messaging me about her weight loss and the plan she's on, Optavia. I kept with the no thank you because most of the products have soy in them, and while I'm not anaphylactic shock and hives type allergic, I am advised by my medical team to approach it like I am because of health reasons and complications it can cause if I were to regularly include soy in my diet. I'm also a massage therapist and I love hiking regularly for my mental health and heart health, so I was concerned hearing that a lot of activity is frowned upon and isn't recommended while on the plan. I also didn't realize until after signing up that they require you to continue using the fuelings 3 times a day even after reaching your goal weight. That is hugely alarming. The way the Optavia plan works is they put you in a severe caloric deficit, basically starving your body so you drop all this weight really quickly. And this is really alarming to hear you say that they continued to push those fuelings, the products, on you even after you've lost all the weight you wanted to lose. That's not healthy. But of course, it's a company, it's a business, they have a product to sell. I'm not surprised that they would say that. Finally, in May, I said, why not? I'll give it a try. We ordered my stuff and she mentioned how once I got to my goal weight, I could become a coach and advertise on my Facebook page and to my clients at work. I quickly said, no, I'm an introvert. I hate posting regularly on social media, even for my job. My weight loss is private and most of my friends and clients won't or can't do this plan due to either finances or health reasons. To which she replied, they might want to once they see your success. She went on about how I could sign up so many of my clients. To me, that sounded like a quick way to ruin my reputation as a massage therapist. Also, diet and nutrition are way out of my scope of practice. Just because I received 2 textbooks and a few pamphlets with my first month of fuelings doesn't mean I'm a pro at nutrition. Good for you for recognizing that. Honestly, the little I read was super woo-woo, and that's coming from a massage therapist who has her own hippie views. Hippie views aside, I still believe in science and scientifically backed up information. I was also shocked at how small the serving sizes of the fuelings were. I knew they were shakes and bars for the most part, but the dinner and breakfast dishes were what blew my mind with how much salt, lack of real nutrition, micronutrients, and soy were in the products. I didn't realize that soy was included until a week in. While I should have checked when my box arrived, I assumed that she remembered I shouldn't have soy. I finally noticed because I started having headaches and heart flutters / palpitations at the end of the first week, which made me decide to look at the ingredients. I mentioned to my coach a second time that I am not supposed to have soy. She admitted that she forgot to look over my info sheet where that info was written down and that I could find someone in my area to trade with, even though the Optavia site is against sharing and trading items. I told her I was just going to switch to a plant-based, whey and soy-free protein shake and protein bar brand that my partner found at our local grocery store and eat those as needed, but go back to 3 small real food healthy meals a day because my doctor wanted me to at the very least go on daily walks, and I couldn't do that on 800 to 1,000 calories a day. My coach convinced me to have a 3-way call with her and her coach for a 2-week check-in before making a decision. I had already made my decision to end after week 2, and I had already thrown out the soy products, which was 3/4 of the remaining fuelings in my pantry. During the check-in, I let them know that because of the reasons listed above, plus at my job I can't always get in the 120 ounces of required water during my day, because when I drink over 100 ounces a day while working, I have to leave my clients during their massage to go to the bathroom, and I find that highly unprofessional. I'm fine if I drink 70 to 100 ounces a day. I also can't eat every 2 to 3 hours while at work, even if it's a bar or shake. My coach's coach told me to, quote, just eat one of your bars during a massage. Your clients won't mind if you explain it's for your health. Professionalism aside, do you know how disgusting it is to touch another person's body, rub it with oil or lotion, and then touch food and put that food in your mouth? I get nauseous just thinking about that. I don't even like touching my water bottle during massages, and that's way more sanitary than what she's suggesting. So aside from the fact that it's rude to eat in front of a client while you're working, and that it's kind of gross and unsanitary, I would imagine that at most points in your massage, you're using both your hands, right? I've had massages before, and a lot of it is kind of a two-hand job, so I'm imagining you like holding a protein bar and like going at it with the other hand. It's just not practical. It doesn't make any sense, and all of your reasons are completely valid and logical, and it's hilarious to me that they're trying to overcome those objections by giving you these other suggestions. It's ridiculous, okay? Any person not in an MLM, not trying to sell you something, would listen to your reasoning and be like, yeah, you know, that makes perfect sense. But not these ladies. No. They have a mission. They need you to keep eating the protein bars while you work. I told her that my doctor doesn't want me to continue this plan because I need more calories to make it through work, and so I can get back to hiking and doing home workouts. My coach's coach blurted out, quote, "Your doctor just doesn't understand the science behind Optavia. This was created by a doctor. She just needs to do her research." I was so taken aback at the fact that someone would accuse a doctor of not knowing the science behind nutrition and diet that I sat there with my mouth open. I'm not saying doctors know everything, but I think it's safe to say a doctor knows far more about nutrition than myself or an MLM coach. That's completely fair. Your primary care doctor, nutrition is not their specialty. You would need to go see a dietitian or nutritionist for that. But they know the basics, okay? Like they know how many calories you should probably be getting for your height, weight, age, exercise level. They know you and your health concerns and how much you should be fueling your body to keep up with your lifestyle and things like that. A person doesn't need to be a nutritionist to know that 800 to 1,000 calories a day is not enough. I feel like that's kind of just a basic understanding. But think about the motive, right? Ideally, your primary care doctor would have your best interest at heart when giving you health and wellness advice, not the MLM person who's trying to make money off of you. I've had heart palpitations and flutters since I was 21. I'm 33 now. They've always been stress and trauma related and usually only happen once a month at most. A few days into using the fuelings, I started having them daily, and I am currently seeing my doctor for them because as of today, the first week of July, they're still happening every 1 to 3 days. That's even with me going low sodium, eliminating processed food, sugar, and dairy. I found out I'm lactose intolerant as well. Only drinking decaf coffee, and I've taken a break from wine and weed. It's legal in my state over the last couple months as a precaution. Luckily, my blood work has improved. My doctor has me on the Mediterranean diet, and the EKG are normal, but we're waiting for the home monitor tests. I'll wear it for a week to see what exactly is going on in my heart. Best case scenario, this plan stressed my body out. Worst case scenario, there's a chance I now have arrhythmia and I need to be on medication for it. As far as mental health goes, I also have struggled with weight since I was a kid. In my 20s, I would yo-yo between binge eating and restriction with the help of eating disorder forums. The Facebook groups for Optavia remind me of how members talked in the eating disorder forums. It was super triggering. The coaches would make posts in the groups around holidays that weren't meant to guilt trip, but they were worded in a very guilt-tripping way. The messages were along the lines of, "I fell off the wagon for this holiday and gained X amount of weight. Time to get back on track. Message me for support to get back on track if you fell off track as well." I expect to gain a little weight around the holidays, on vacation, at social gatherings, but I also know the plan I'm currently on, the diet and working out, works well enough to lose the weight again and that I'll get back on track in the days and weeks following. I don't need someone getting on my case and guilt-tripping me for being human with minor weight gain due to having a single cookie, a small plate of nachos, or whatever else is off plan but in moderation. Complete restriction is also unhealthy mentally and physically. From my experience, it leads to yo-yo binge and restriction eating. My doctor recommended that I switch to the Mediterranean diet for the heart health, and it's fine if I buy soy and dairy-free products. I honestly love it, and I'm seeing slow but steady results. On Optavia, I lost about 6 pounds a week, so 12 pounds altogether. And on the Mediterranean diet mixed with going hiking, I've lost another 18 pounds, so 30 pounds altogether. Sure, my weight loss is slower, about 5 to 10 pounds a month versus 4 to 6 pounds a week, but I feel a lot better mentally. I have physical energy. Clients, coworkers, and family have voiced how great my skin and hair look. I am slowly learning how to cook real food and meals, and I feel like I don't have to skip out on social gatherings because of food restrictions. I still have food restrictions, but they are much more socially flexible than Optavia ever can be. I unfollowed those two cousins, the coaches, on social media because they post almost daily about about joining them to get a hold of your health and become healthy and join their health community for great opportunities and become your own boss. I had to tell my direct coach to stop texting me with weekly updates a couple times because I got a few weekly group text check-ins after ending my 2 weeks on the plan. The last text was the morning after my partner's nephew's birthday party the weekend of the 4th, so 2 months after ending Optavia with her. I didn't even eat horrible at the party. I had a salad, a few jalapeno poppers, half a glass of lemonade, and a handful of tortilla chips with guac and a cookie. So it infuriated me to get that text. The other cousin, my ex-coach's coach, my goodness. Hello. You really have something to say today, don't you? Yeah, my goodness. The other cousin, my ex-coach's coach, has mentioned on social media how people talk behind her back. I don't know what they were saying, and I think it's horrible if someone is gossiping about her or anyone, but I can't help wondering if people are being critical of Optavia and she's taking that personal or as a personal attack. Thank you for sharing our stories. Take care of yourself. Your story is very timely because I just posted that Optavia deep dive. I've gotten a lot of Optavia stories recently, actually, and pretty much all of them are having some kind of concerning health experience as a result of doing the Optavia program. And I can only imagine, as I said in that deep dive, that it has to do with the incredibly low amount of calories you're consuming. You're not fueling your body to do its basic functions. I know, right? It's crazy. Yeah. They need to eat more, don't you think? So anyway, you're definitely not alone in that regard of having some kind of negative experience being on this program. It's hard to imagine how it would be healthy, right? Very small portions of highly processed foods, coupled with the insane price of these programs, and with the whole toxic diet culture rhetoric that's coming from the people in your group and in this Facebook group and your uplines, and it's just like all of it is so bad. Yes, you are gonna lose a significant amount of weight pretty quickly, but at what cost? You're not doing it in a healthy way. It's not going to be sustainable. You're not actually learning how to fuel your body properly. And as soon as you come off of that program, whether that be you don't like it anymore, you can't afford it anymore, you're having negative health effects, it's going to become apparent that that level of weight loss is not sustainable. I'm hoping that your heart monitor results come back clear, and I love to hear that you're on this Mediterranean diet that you are enjoying and you feel is sustainable for your lifestyle. That's all good news. Thank you for sending this story. This one says, "Hi Hannah, I've been watching your videos for a while now, and now that I've watched every single one, I figured it was time to write in my story. My story is a little different because I wasn't pitched to join the MLM. I actually reached out to the girl who I signed up under first. The MLM I was in was It Works. I followed this girl on Instagram and we were friends on Facebook, so naturally I always saw her posts about joining her team and making $25,000 bonuses and making money from your phone. I got curious as to what it was, so I reached out and started asking questions. Sadly, I didn't ask the right ones because I ended up getting sucked into it. I thought what I was getting into was an influencer type of thing where I got paid to post on social media because that's what she made it out to be, which is, as we know, a blatant lie. I should also mention I was 18 at the time and in college, so I needed some extra money, which made me even more vulnerable. I ended up paying the $99 to join and got started right away. There were a ton of red flags right from the start that I knew in my gut were wrong, but I ignored because I was money hungry. My upline told me to start posting about the products and the opportunity right away before I even got my starter kit. I felt uneasy posting about the products because how was I supposed to talk about a product if I haven't even tried it yet? All the posting I did was basically all lies that I was encouraged to say about this new business I started. I did all the typical copy and paste posts you see about making money from your phone and how easy it is. I also cold messaged at least 100 people per day about joining my team. Red flag number one, if your upline is saying, hey, start promoting it even though you have no experience with it, you've never tried the products, you don't have any personal testimony, that is not a good sign. That tells you right off the bat, it's not about the products. She's like, don't even worry about that, do that later, start pitching the business now, because that's where the emphasis lies, right? I dove in head first into this MLM. I gave into all the BS that they said in the daily Zoom calls and team meetings. I believed I would make it to the top, LOL, in parentheses. There were these in-person events that my upline always went to that she invited me to go to. to. And since we lived in the same town and could carpool, I went to them. I forget what these events were called, but they were basically to hype you up and give you fire underneath you to keep you pushing. I remember there was this one in Michigan. I'm from Ohio, and this was a huge deal. All of the top leaders would be there. They were announcing a new product line, and if I went, I would for sure promote in my business. It was too short of notice for me to get off work, so my team convinced me to call off work to go to it, and I was so hesitant because I had never, not once, called off work. But they were really convincing, so I did. We drove to Michigan, and the first thing we did was go to one of the top leaders in the company's home to hang out. I thought we were so lucky to be going there. Her house was in this super nice development, and her house was huge and extremely nice. The first thing the homeowner did when we arrived was give us a full house tour, which looking back was strange because who gives a full house tour to strangers? The whole point of it though was to show off everything that the business gave her and show us that this could be us if we worked hard enough. The whole thing was such a brag and it gave me the ick. At this event, I got to meet some of the top leaders and the CEO's daughter. Honestly, they weren't nice or personable, and we snapped a quick group pic and walked away. Shortly after this event, I was going for the Ruby promotion and I was so close to getting it, but literally at midnight at the end of the month, I was on the phone with my upline saying, I'm not going to get it because I don't have enough volume in sales. My upline said to me, do you want to go halves on an order so you can get the promotion? And I said yes, so we both spent like $100 to buy into my rank. The next day, I posted all about how I was promoted and I did it, but it didn't feel right. Dang, okay, so what you're explaining is rank buying, also known as bonus buying, which is against MLM companies' compliance documents. I'm looking at the It Works policies and procedures document right now, and it says that bonus buying is strictly prohibited and that if you're caught doing it, you might be subject to any of these disciplinary actions, such as you might be fined, you might lose your bonus or commission checks, you might be suspended, you might be terminated. This is a very serious deal in the eyes of the company because you're quite literally cheating the system. And this is not me passing judgment on you for doing this because I commend you for admitting that you did this. It doesn't affect you now, you're not in the company, who cares? But you would not believe the number of people who just buy their way through the ranks. There's a significant amount of people within the companies that do not make ranks based on their own merit. They spend their own money to fulfill their own requirements to hit the ranks. And not only do you cheat the system and hit those ranks in an unethical manner, but now you're also putting yourself into more debt. People often justify this because they think, well, if I hit that rank, then I'll get that bonus, or I'll be put in this next tier of commissions or whatever, and they think that they're gonna make that money back. So it's kind of like, who cares? I'm gonna spend $100 to hit the rank because I'm gonna get 400 back or whatever it is. It's such a shady practice that more people than you would believe participate in these companies, and I commend you for admitting that. No judgment from me, because honestly, we all know here that people act in ways they wouldn't otherwise act under the manipulation and mind control of these companies and what they're made to believe they have to do to be successful. So it makes perfect sense why people do it, but it is prohibited and it does ultimately contribute to the claims that this is just a money-making scheme that you buy into. Shortly after I got this promotion, I slowly quit the business. I started posting less, I wasn't cold messaging at all, and then I eventually quit. I didn't make a formal announcement I was leaving, but everyone got the hint. No one said anything to me about leaving, which I'm grateful for. I also want to mention that during my short time in It Works, 4 months, my team convinced me to quit my job. I can't believe I actually did it because I was making decent money as an 18-year-old. I hated the job, so it wasn't that big of a deal, and thankfully I found an even better job about a month after I quit, but that could have ended up so much worse. Anyways, that's my story, nothing too crazy, but I definitely made a fool of myself on social media, constantly posting about this. After being heavily involved in the anti-MLM community, I am now extremely anti-MLM and try to warn everyone about them. Keep doing what you're doing because you're helping so many people. And your story is helping so many people. By you being in the MLM and throwing it all out there and explaining your experiences firsthand, that is extremely effective at explaining what goes on behind the scenes, and you have that firsthand experience to share with us. So thank you so much for doing that. The fact that they could convince you to quit your job is insane, but I'm not surprised. The manipulation tactics are heavy in these companies, and I'm so happy to hear that in the end it all worked out. You left It Works, you got a better job. It was all for the best. Thank you for sharing your story. This one says, "Hi Hannah, my name is Jess and I have an MLM horror story from college. Feel free to use my name if you choose to add my story in a video. In college, I met a friend at a club named Jasper. We became close before he started working for Cutco. He was from Barbados and had no clue what Cutco was. At the time, I was not aware it was an MLM, but it always seemed sketchy to me. I remember the day he started. He mentioned it was a really difficult interview process and he needed business-like attire. The day he went shopping for his new wardrobe, he came to my dorm to show me his new clothes and a starter kit from the company. Not only did he show me how the knives cleanly cut through paper, but he also took out raw chicken from his book bag to cut through on my desk. Remind you, we are broke college students in a dorm without a kitchen and definitely not a cutting board. So he cut this raw chicken on top of my bare desk. Oh my god. Thankfully, we did not consume this chicken, but I sanitized the hell out of that desk after he left. I thought it was pretty cool how sharp the knives were despite how grossed out I was, but as a college student living in a dorm with no kitchen accessible, I clearly did not need a fancy set of knives. One night at the dining hall, he asked a group of our friends if we would be willing to give him our parents' numbers so that he could pitch to them. Most of us agreed. He also asked for friends' parents' numbers and to see our contact lists to ask if he could call these random people. At the time, I was having some beef with my ex-high school boyfriend of 4 years. Jasper was aware of this and asked for his parents' numbers to call. Being the petty I was back then, I gave him my ex-boyfriend's mom's number so he could harass her along with my parents. I have no clue if he called my ex's mom, but I know he pitched to my parents who refused to purchase anything. After his declined sales pitch, he asked my parents how he could improve his pitch in the future. They responded honestly and told him that the knives were overpriced and his pushy attitude deterred them. Because my parents responded truthfully, he told all our friends that my parents were rude and berated him, ultimately ending our friendship. I can only imagine how much money Jasper spent on a new wardrobe and the Cutco sets. I found it so weird that he wanted to scroll through our phones to find people for him to call. MLM members are truly desperate. I truly regret giving him my ex-boyfriend's mom's phone number because it was immature, but you never know. Maybe she purchased some really expensive knives that lose all durability if you put them in the dishwasher. Thank you for doing God's work and sharing anti-MLM content. We are all eternally grateful for the entertainment and education you have provided us. I mean, I'm pretty entertained by this idea of raw chicken being cut on your desk in your dorm room, but the thing I'm pulling the most from your story is that your friend who was from Barbados and had no idea what an MLM was or what Cutco was, unfortunately, he probably was the prime target for that kind of company. And it's kind of sad to think that everybody he knows is college age. And like you said, we live in a dorm, we don't have a kitchen, we don't cook, we don't have money for these knives. And so he's trying to overcome that by asking for all of your parents' information. And it's just crazy to think about what being in an MLM will make you do just to make a little bit of money. And he deserves so much more than that. Everybody does who's in an MLM. There's plenty of part-time, minimal experience type jobs out there that are going to pay you more than an MLM. And you're not going to have to alienate people and go through their contact lists and lose friendships over it. It's just a really sad outcome to that whole story, but it is important to talk about. And with that, that's all the stories I have for you for this MLM Horror Stories video. Again, if you have your own, go ahead and check out the description box for the instructions on how to send it to me. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you in my next one real soon.